I'm about to make a couple of really, really unpopular opinions, but I believe them to be completely true. So I encourage you, before freaking out, after hearing what I'm about to say, just give this video a shot, listen all the way through, and if you're still mad by the end, you can go ahead and leave an angry comment. That's fine with me, but give this a shot. So the first one I have is feminism is completely evil. Now, that one isn't as unpopular. Feminism, it's getting more and more, it's becoming more and more obviously evil. More people are starting to recognize this. Most conservatives are very anti, at least third wave, fourth wave feminism. But on top of that, I believe feminism, the feminist movement, is worse than the movement of the Nazi Party. I know that may sound completely crazy to you right now, but just hear me out on this. First of all, I want to talk about what the feminist movement has led to. It's led to the destruction of the West, of the United States, the greatest country in the history of the world. It has completely destroyed it. How did they do this? They destroyed the family first and foremost. They made women in the workforce, they put them there, right? They introduced birth control, destroying families, destroying the hormonal aspects of women, right? Birth control obviously messes with that. So that is no good in itself. But they also convinced women that they needed to be independent and stay away from men. And that they would be happier if they didn't start a family, if they stayed unmarried, if they went through a hoe phase. It's no good. They literally destroyed America by breaking down the most basic and most important block of any civilization, the family. Next, I want to talk about abortion. Abortion, obviously, it came from feminism. It's a big part of what the feminist movement has done over the last 100 years. That abortion represents the end goal of liberalism. It's like the crown jewel. It is the greatest thing and most evil thing liberalism has ever accomplished. It represents a complete independence from any and the most important, specifically, responsibility that any person can have, the responsibility of taking care of a child. It prevents women from having to go through the natural process of taking care of a child after sex. That was the responsibility that we had for a long time. But liberalism, it represents complete freedom and complete worship of the self, right? It represents this mental slavery, the slavery to oneself, where they put off and literally kill those around them to make themselves feel better. And it's completely, completely evil. So, abortion, obviously, big feminist thing. How many babies have died from abortion? 63.6 million babies have died in the United States of America between the overturning of Roe v. Wade all the way up to 2020. 63.6 million dead from the feminist movement. Now, according to the numbers we have, it's estimated that 6 million Jews died during the Nazis' occupation over Germany. That number is 10 times less than the 63.6 million dead that feminism has brought about. So, what the Nazis do completely evil? Yes. What the feminist movement has done is objectively worse. It has objectively killed more people, more dead babies. And you could maybe make the argument, oh well, at least it wasn't targeted genocide. BS. Complete BS. Abortion and birth control has always been and were originally designed to be a eugenics program to kill black children. I know, might sound crazy, like everything else I have said in this video, but hear me out here. 38% of abortions are done, or at least estimated, are done by black mothers. They make up just 12% of the population. Only 12% of the population is black, yet 38% of abortions are done by black mothers. Do you know how incredibly messed up that is? The Statistically speaking, that means like from black people commit the majority amount of abortions if we had like an equal population, right? They commit significantly more abortion than any other group. Significantly more. 12% of the population is black. 38% of abortions are done by black mothers. That is so sad. And why is this a trend that we see? Why would this be happening? It's because Planned Parenthood and these abortion centers, they were purposely set up in low income black areas because they wanted to kill black children. They wanted to use eugenic programs to get rid of black babies. They specifically convinced black women to kill their children and went to areas where they knew that it would be easy to convince these moms that it would be worth it. These low income black areas, right? This abortion, birth control, it has always been grounded in racism. One of the leaders of the early feminist movement, this is someone I really want to focus on right now, Margaret Sanger. She was a big time racist, very pro eugenics. If you don't know what eugenics are, it's the same idea Hitler had, right? It's where they want to sweep out the less desirable, quote unquote, pieces of the population to have the best possible genetics, right? So what you have is like what Hitler wanted was to have like this very ethnically German population. So anybody that wasn't ethnically German or he didn't deem to be valuable in his own eyes, he would have killed in camps so that they couldn't reproduce. This is exactly what Margaret Sanger wanted to do, right? What she wanted to do was take out the black population to, quote, purify this, right? To purify the genetic pool. So take out the blacks, and it's just incredibly evil. So what she would do is she would bring birth control pills. This was her thing in the early time because this lady, by the way, quick history lesson, big important member of the feminist movement. You can find her biography in the National Women's Museum. Go to their website. You could find all about her because I love this lady. This lady was a big part of it. But she started birth control. She started that whole movement, started Planned Parenthood. And what she would do is through this project she called the Negro Project was she would go into black neighborhoods, right? She'd go into these black neighborhoods and give them birth control and teach them all about it and teach them how to use it. Why? Because she wanted less black babies to be born each year. She wanted these mothers to not be giving birth to any more black children, to keep the gene pool smaller, to decrease their population in the Americas. And if you think, oh, well, maybe she wasn't a eugenicist, maybe you don't believe me right now, which fair enough. You got to have something to back up this stuff. Oftentimes, when people hear this, a common refute I've heard or a rebuttal of the argument that Margaret Sanger was actually a eugenicist and what she was doing was eugenics was that, oh, well, actually, she was just trying to help out the black community because the way she worded this is when she was doing the Negro Project, when she would go into these black neighborhoods, she would tell them, oh, well, I'm just trying to help you guys out, right? I know that you guys are low income, and I think this is a way we get you out of that situation. Kill your children to get out of this bad spot. She would convince them of that. So people still today use the argument that what she was actually trying to do was help the black population and help black women get out of poverty. Really, this lady, she was just a complete saint, is what they argue. But this is complete BS. The truth is, this lady just hated black people and really anybody that wasn't of the white race. To quote her, eugenics is the most adequate and thorough avenue to the solution of racial, political, and social problems. So she believed that the best way to get rid of all these problems, including racial, which I think is a very important ones, what I think she's talking about here is the racial divide, especially that was going on during the early 1900s because of obvious racism that the black population was experiencing. So there was this like conflict between the white and black race. So her solution, kill off the black population. She also said, well, society has no business to permit degenerates to reproduce their kind. This lady fully believed that anybody that she viewed as a degenerate shouldn't be allowed to reproduce. She was pro sterilization. She outwardly supported the outcome of the Buck v. Bell decision that was made in the early 1900s, which allowed for people to be sterilized without their consent and even sometimes without their knowledge if they were deemed unfit or if they were deemed to have some kind of mental problem, some kind of disability. She wanted people with disabilities to be able to legally be sterilized without their consent. That is truly, truly disgusting behavior. She genuinely believed in eugenics. I mean, it's undeniable. The evidence is very clear. He is worse than Hitler. I fully believe this. This lady is actually worse than Hitler. Margaret Sanger. She was she was smarter than Hitler, right? She understood the game better than Hitler ever did. Hitler was just a really, really, really overly paranoid guy who was he probably a pretty smart dude? I'd have to imagine so you don't get into a position like he does without being some at least having some knowledge, being decently smart. But he was controlled his entire career. This guy was not the brains of his operation at any point, in my belief. He was a really paranoid guy who was being used. He was constantly on drugs, and they used him to commit these horrendous, horrendous actions. Margaret Sanger, on the other hand, she was playing the long game. She understood that she couldn't just walk up and become some dictator and then go and just kill off everybody, and then she'd get to live in her perfect little fantasy world. No, she believed in killing these people off slowly and over millions over a long period of time. Think about this. What Hitler managed to accomplish was killing 6 million. 6 million in his camps. Margaret Sanger, her actions have led to the death of 63.6 billion babies, with a very, very, very solid portion of those being black babies. She has killed so many, but she did it in a smart way where not only is she looked upon it 100 years later as a saint, as some kind of fighter for women, some kind of freedom fighter, but she also got exactly what she wanted. She has been killing black children. More black babies between, I believe it was 2012 and 2016, were killed in New York than were born. That is disgusting. That is the result of eugenics. They purposely do that. They want these small children to die that they view as unpure. This lady was a hardcore racist, a leader in the feminist movement, and just a terrible person all around. And she should not be praised like she is, because she is still getting praised for what she did, for what she accomplished, for her mass murderous tendencies, for being someone that was, over the long run, worse than Hitler. She destroyed the family unit. She destroyed the minds of many women with birth control. She killed millions. Her movement, a movement that she heavily led, a movement that she was really influential in, destroyed the greatest country of all time. And you're going to sit here and tell me that this movement was not worse than the Nazi Party. As much as I hate the Nazis, I hate them as much as the next guy. They were awful. They did all kinds of atrocious, atrocious things. They did not destroy the greatest country of all time. They did not kill 63.6 million innocent babies. They did not completely destroy the relationship between man and woman. They did not make women across the world think that working was empowering and being independent was a way to life. They did not lead millions to suicide. Yeah, that male loneliness that's causing all that suicide, yeah, that's coming because of feminism, the results of feminism. Women are less happier than ever. That wasn't the Nazis that did that. It wasn't those evil Nazis that made women less happy than they were in the 1970s. There's this study that was done that showed that between 1970 and I forget which year it was. I think it might have been 2015, but I apologize if I am wrong there. It showed that women had gotten significantly less happy, even though they became more independent. Why is this? It's never what women wanted. They were tricked and coerced into this. It was evil. It was evil from the beginning. The intentions were always awful. Early feminism, what was it rooted in? It was rooted in racism. It was rooted in eugenics. The movement has always been worse than anything we have seen in history. Feminism, in 200 years, if we win the day, will be looked back upon as the worst movement in all of history, the most evil, the most pure evil movement to ever take place on the earth, destroying this beautiful country and the lives of millions and millions of babies along with it. On that note, though, I am going to wrap this up. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, share the video. I greatly appreciate it. But I'm going to sign off on that note. So long, peace out, and God bless y'all.